Hey everyone, Shoebox Legends, thanks for joining me again. Today's video is going to be the first in an ongoing series here on the channel, and it'll be titled Mini Collections. So I mentioned in my introductory video that over the years I've had a difficult time focusing in the hobby, which I think is a very common problem that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. And so it's always a struggle for me between trying to finish a project or see something through to the end versus getting distracted with something new or shiny that I discover, out on the internet, on eBay, or on one of your YouTube channels in some cases. And one of the ways I kind of deal with that is to sort of compartmentalize some small projects that I feel, in just 2 or 3 or, maybe less than half a dozen cards, I can kind of complete a small area of my collection to where I feel satisfied with it, and I can kind of put it out of my mind and focus on something else. So today, as you can probably tell by the action figures that are sitting there before you, and the title of the video, this is a Star Wars based video. I mentioned a couple videos back that I'm really all over the place with my collecting. I do enjoy some non-sports. And today's video is going to pay tribute to the first evil villain that I ever can remember from my childhood, and that is the great Darth Vader of the Star Wars franchise. So I've had a few Vader cards over the years, but recently, with the way things have been going, Star Wars cards saw a really big uptick in value, as did pretty much everything in this industry and this hobby. But I was able to grab a trio of graded Darth Vader cards that were comfortably within my reasonable and limited budget before things got too out of control. And I wanted to show them off today. So we're going to start with 2 cards that sort of go hand in hand from the second set that was released in 1980 to coincide with the Empire Strikes Back film. Obviously, as Star Wars buffs, many people feel that that second film, The Empire Strikes Back, is the best movie in the original trilogy, and I'm sure many feel it's the best of the 9 movies in the entire canon, or at least the regular 9 episodes. And so these two go hand in hand together, and I don't think this is really much of a spoiler alert, 40 years later, but the biggest moment in that second movie, and arguably the biggest moment in the entire franchise, is when Darth Vader reveals to Luke Skywalker that he is indeed his father. And so I decided to target the 2 cards from the Empire Strikes Back set where that is first revealed. So these are in sequential order, they follow each other on the checklist, and so we'll look at them together. So first we have my favorite card in my small Darth Vader collection, and that is Embrace the Dark Side. And so this is the scene, if you're familiar with the movie, where Darth Vader, or Anakin Skywalker, reveals to Luke that he is his father. There is not a trading card that exists with the I am your father quotation on the bottom, because Topps did not want to spoil that portion of the plot to anyone that purchased these trading cards but may not have seen the movie yet. So the card that you see right here is the closest we come to that iconic moment in film being portrayed on cardboard in this 1980 set. For that reason, I decided to target this card, was able to pick it up in a Mint 9 a little while back for what I think is a very reasonable price, especially considering what's gone on in the industry recently. So it was less than $100. I certainly didn't pay 3 figures for this card, and I stand by my purchase because it's just a really awesome, unique card that is one of my favorite non-sport cards in my collection when you consider what this moment was for this film and in turn my childhood. And the other thing I want to point out about these 1980 cards is they have really awesome backs. I like the design here, the illustrated reverse with a little bit of a summary without giving away too much about what's going on in the film. But a lot of these cards, non-sports cards and Star Wars cards in particular, had like puzzle backs or other things that were just not very interesting. So I think these Empire Strikes Back cards, the backs are worth noting, and they're very well done. So that is the first card. Like I said, probably my favorite of the 3 that I have here today. But to go along with that, I saw this at auction. Wasn't planning on picking this up, but it just really paired nicely with the one we just looked at. And that is the very next card on the checklist, which is in the moments following that scene. and where Vader is trying to encourage Luke to embrace the dark side, hate him, and destroy him. So this one's in a PSA 8. This is not like an investor grade card or anything. I think I paid somewhere between $30 and $40 for this, but I just really like the way that it paired with the one that we saw a moment ago. And again, it does have that really cool back design that the Empire Strikes Back set contains. So again, those two go really nicely together. Sorry about the camera bump there. So it just made sense to get those. And then the third one that I have to show is from the original set, the 1977 Star Wars release. I'm a collector on a budget, and I do not have the kind of money to go after, you know, some of the very first Vader cards from that release. They've really gotten expensive. But what I settled on is this one from the later series of that set, the Dark Lord of the Sith. I just like this, sort of akin to me as having like his player card almost, whereas the other two that I featured are more focused on a scene. This one is just focused on the man himself. So as I mentioned, some of these have just kind of a boring puzzle back. This one actually does have a movie facts back, which I like a little bit better than the puzzle backs on some of the cards. And yeah, nothing's super valuable here, but I just really wanted to pick this one up. He's, like I said, the original evil villain that I recall so fondly from childhood. And with these three in hand, I pretty much feel content. As I mentioned, this was a way for me to complete a small collection and a tribute to a movie villain that I'm fond of without really breaking the bank. And I can now move on to other areas of collecting, whether it's sports or non-sports, and I don't really need to obsess over trying to obtain every single Darth Vader card that is out there. So that's my trio. I'm happy with it. If you're a Star Wars fan, or even if you're not, I'd love to hear what you think of these cards or Star Wars cards in general in the comments. And I'm sure we'll be back soon with more content, and appreciate you stopping by. Thanks, everyone.